Well, good afternoon. A while back, I took my pickup into the shop to have some work done. I had noticed liquid on the floor of the garage under the engine where I was parking it. It looked like a combination of oil and water, and so I took it into the shop for them to determine what was wrong and then have it fixed. They came back with news that there was a leak in a seal as well as a water pump that was leaking. The seal leak was in the same area as the water pump and was also in the same area as the timing belt and the associated parts with that timing belt. Well, it was about time to replace the timing belt anyway, I told them to go ahead and fix the seal leak, install a new water pump, and replace the timing belt. All of that could be done at the same time by working in the same area of the engine, saving me maybe some future expense and labor of having to tear it down apart again. When I got my pickup back, it started and it ran just fine, but when I tried to accelerate from a low speed, the engine would hesitate. At higher speeds, it did just fine. Well, I took it back in and I told them what was going on, and I told them the engine wasn't doing the hesitation thing before I brought it in for service, but it was following the repair. Well, it took some time, as well as the mechanic going down the wrong rabbit hole at first before he finally figured out what was going on. When the timing belt is replaced, everything has to go back in place exactly right, or the timing of the engine, that is, the sequences of things that happen inside the engine, that timing won't be correct. The engine won't run correctly. Well, you may have guessed by now that the mechanic made a tiny error in replacing the belt and the associated equipment. The error was so small that he didn't notice it at first glance. But when he corrected the error, the engine ran much better, much more like it ought to. Now, I've thought about that experience recently as it pertains to life and living, wondering if there's some kind of a lesson in there for us in that story. Can a tiny error, something just a little off, so to speak, create some kind of negative effect that's much larger than that error would seem to make it? Well, recently I had a workup done by my primary care doctor. He did all of the things, including blood work. The results came back mostly in the good or the normal regions, but one result, my vitamin D level, came back borderline deficient. My level was at the lower end of what was considered to be normal. Well, he suggested that I take a supplement to get my level more up into the middle of the normal range. I didn't think much about it, but the next time I was in the pharmacy, I bought a supplement and started taking it daily. Now, I need to tell you that I also have lower back pain from diagnosed osteoarthritis. Sometimes that discomfort is enough to force me to have to sit down for a time and give it a rest. I also have difficulty exercising more than about 15 or 20 minutes or so due to that pain and discomfort that it causes. However, after taking that vitamin D supplement in a matter of just 3 or 4 days, my lower back pain lessened considerably. Now, it's still there, but it's much more manageable. Rather than being a 7 or 8 on a scale of 1 to 10 for pain, it's maybe down to a 3 or a 4 most times. Well, I wondered if the vitamin D supplement was perhaps the cause of that decreased discomfort, because I had made no changes in what I did or what I ate other than beginning to take that supplement. I looked up symptoms of vitamin D deficiency and I found bone pain, especially lower back pain, to be one of those symptoms. Well, apparently, something as simple as just increasing my intake of vitamin D has resulted in a big change in how I feel from day to day. Well, I could tell you of other things that I've found that seem small and insignificant but have a big effect, just like that timing belt was. It was just a tiny bit off but caused the engine to misfire. To misfire. Daily exercise, which for me consists of 15 to 20 minutes of walking. Regular exercises for my shoulder, which is also being attacked by arthritis. Drinking enough water daily. Eating a good variety of fruits and veggies, especially fresh fruit and vegetables. And then there's the spiritual and emotional aspects of life. that can be greatly affected in a positive way by some of those small things. Regular immersion into the Word of God, taking time for meditation, medication too, but meditation in a spiritual sense, and quiet, turning off the TV, the radio, and the noise, meeting with church family, taking in nature, whether it's in my backyard, in a park, or in the wide open countryside, being with friends and family, sharing kindness, empathy, and resources, taking time to write, construct, garden, solve puzzles, cook, or whatever it is that gives you joy. Prayer. Well, I'm sure you can think of other things that by themselves seem insignificant, but have much, much value. At least some of these need to be toward the top of our priority list each day. Our engines, so to speak, just run better when everything works together as it should. Well, may God bless you continually as you seek those things which bring you into and keep you in the proper timing of life.